Hi, my name is Donald Gearhart, and I have been tasked with designing and implementing a new mechanic into a tile-based project called Tournamental. The mechanic that I've introduced is a simple powering up mechanic where a player has to collect power orbs to gain levels and thus open up doors that have a required power level to break through or barriers to break through. Quickly, I can show you how it works on a very simple level. So the player, of course, has the movable blocks that come with Ornamental, and the player can interact with these orbs and move into new spaces, which allows them to gain levels to be able to open this wall. Now, a player can, of course, interact with these orbs. They can continue through, and each block has a certain level that is required to actually get through, and they can get through to the end. Successfully getting through that, we can look at how I kind of designed this on the board. So real quick, just looking at the barriers, they actually have required levels that are instance editable, so you can actually change them, and they automatically change the numbers that appear on the block. That was really an important part of making this so it flowed easily, and I can show you that when we look into the interactable barrier. Quickly, the first thing that I did was actually the power ball. So those are the orbs that are found that give you the increase in level. So I start off with the initial functionality to be like the movable block, where you're checking if that next tile has something on it, and if it is interactable. And I had it toggle the interact, make the orb actually disappear, increase the power of the player, um, which then went and told the square or the tile that it was enterable, and immediately after that, destroying the actor. Initially designing this, there was some weird issues that occurred where it wasn't the orb was being deleted, but not allowing the player to actually walk into the spot space anymore. So it was almost like blocking out that space. So that's why the toggle visibility was really important because it allows it kind of to disappear, and then you can do the can enter, and then once it's gone from the map visibly, you can actually delete it. It was just a weird bug that was happening for a while, but I was able to eventually figure that out. Um, and gain power is actually inside of the player pawn, which is this functionality where kind of you get the power level of player, you add it, truncate it, and set it to the common integer. Because in a lot of games, even if you can have more experience than just like level 2, and you are gaining experience until you get to level 3, you don't want it to automatically go up. You actually want it to truncate down. In the Powerball, also, I have the construction strip for just coloring. So you can easily change the color of the orb to whatever you want it to be. If you want to create a smaller or larger orb that gives more level or experience, then you can do that as well. Um, Moving on, looking at the player pawn, this is probably the most important part of the player pawn's functionality that I added is this power function. In the event graph, I also added the power level to the HUD, so that would show up as well when we go and interact, and it can tell the player, give them direct feedback that they are leveling up that player to the level that they need to get through the barriers. Um, so this is in the same player HUD as the stamina. Um, and moving from that, the last part of the functionality that I had to build out was the barrier. So this was another uh, another one that was relatively easy. That I honestly, this I didn't have as many bugs as the Powerball that kind of gave me some trouble initially. But this checks the player's level that we had set up as a variable already, and checks to make sure that it is greater than. If it is not greater than, then there's going to be a little thing that says need more power. Toggles the interact, toggles visibility again, can't enter, and destroy actor. For me, this was like it worked really smooth, didn't give me any errors or anything like that, and pretty much did exactly what I was looking for from the functionality of the leveling up and breaking through the barriers. In construction script, the most important part again is the for the barrier is this kind of setup where it checks what the required level is set to, um, and renders that on top of the barriers so that the players can know exactly what level they need to be instead of having to guesstimate what they're supposed to be at or have any issues. And it adjusts in the editor right here, so you can actually make this higher and lower to your desired difficulty of collecting the orbs. And in bigger, different levels, you can make it much harder or easier um, to do. So this is kind of the flow of how I've made my blueprints and how I designed out this mechanic for the level. In different levels and everything, it's a really nice and interesting mechanic because you can definitely add a lot of functionality and puzzles to this. And with the movement of the boxes, if you move the box to a certain space, even in this beginning one, you can actually see that. Oh, once it looks up, I was also messing with the ability. So even here, if you were to do this, you can't get through that level. So that definitely adds a little bit of the puzzle mechanic that we are looking for. So thank you so much, and I hope one of you guys likes this mechanic and wants to add it to their level.